Hey guys, what is going on? We are on the family boat today. It is a beautiful Sunday and it is Easter Sunday, so happy Easter to you guys. We actually are going to try to catch some lobsters today because today is the last day of lobster season until it doesn't open again until August 6th. We actually tried to go out earlier today, but we had a little bit of a problem. We were about to head out the inlet and I realized that we started to lose our steering, and luckily we quickly threw the anchor and we called TowBoat. We realized that we had a leak in our power steering fluid tank, and so TowBoat quickly towed us home. We fixed our problem, filled up with power steering, and now we are back out here again. So if you guys are ever wondering whether or not you need tow insurance, make sure you check out TowBoat US because they were at our boat within about 4 to 5 minutes. They towed us home and now we're back on the water within a couple hours. So a little later than we wanted. My mom is home and she's gonna be making us Easter dinner tonight. But hopefully we can catch some lobsters. You guys ready to go?
Oh, yeah.
Ready?
Oh yeah, we're ready.
Thank you, Mom, for letting us all head out on the boat today while you're home, making us a delicious dinner. But hopefully we can catch some lobsters to cook you a dinner maybe tomorrow night. So let's go. I will see you guys underwater. Got our flag up. All right guys, so we are at the first spot of the day. This will be our deepest spot. It's around 20 feet, and Fisher's gonna be the first one to hop in the water to check if there are any lobsters here. And then Victor is all wetsuited up because the water is 73 degrees, so it's a little bit chilly. So fingers crossed that Fisher finds some lobsters at this first spot. All right, Fish, we're ready.
All right, time to splash. Oh.
Fisher said there are a few lobsters at this spot, so time to jump in and catch them. Fisher dives down and is using a tickle stick to try to coax the lobsters out of the rock. He gets 2 out at the same time, and then I dive down to net them. I net one and the other one shoots backwards just under Fisher's hand. Time to swim up and measure it and see if it's legal. He's like just legal, but he just shed, and he's really squishy, so the gauge does pass his head because he just literally shed.
Legal.
No.
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 Just saying it.
If his shell was hard, I bet he'd be legal, but it's too close. He's smushy.
There's one moving.
And it smushes off. Gotta let him go. Fisher dives down and tickles out 2 more lobsters, which I line up with my net, but both look too small to me, so I don't even bother to catch them. As we're on the surface, I notice a lobster that started to walk out of one of the rocks. I dive down to net it. Can you see it's missing an antenna already? Lobsters can regrow their antennas as well as their legs that they may lose to a predator or possibly even a diver accidentally knocking them off. I gave this one a quick measure and it was too small, so I had to let it go. Fisher is back on the bottom working on some more lobsters. Lobsters can swim backwards by quickly flipping their tails open and closed. They are quite agile, as you see this one getting away from Victor.
A little one. Don't need to gauge that.
He flew around right into your hand.
Yeah.
Cool, huh?
Yep.
If you watch closely, another lobster shoots out of the rock and ends up in Fisher's hand again.
Got another one.
Another one shot right out into your hand.
Yep.
That one looks like it'll be good, huh?
That one is good.
First legal one of the day. So this is a really deep rock. So Fisher is using the tickle stick to try to tickle the lobsters out so that then we can net them because it's so deep you can't stick your arms in. But he said this one is like pinned up against the back wall, so he's gonna try to stick his arm in to grab it. Hold your breath and see if you can dive for as long as Fisher. I'm not going to cut this clip so you can get a good idea of how long this dive is and how sometimes the lobsters are stubborn and don't want to budge from their spots. Fisher stuck his arm all the way into his shoulders and was able to finally pull this lobster out. I'm going to guess a lot of people are probably afraid to stick their arms into a rock at the bottom of the ocean, but our dad taught us from a very young age to not be afraid and had a lobster. Sure, we've had our share of sea urchin spines in our hands, but luckily we've never had too close of an encounter with a moray eel. Knock on wood. Are you still holding your breath? He's finally coming up.
Let's hope he's legal. Nope.
Small, huh?
Small.
Wow. All right, back in the boat. We just moved to our second spot. I think we caught 3 or 4 short lobsters at that spot. I didn't even bother to catch a couple because they looked too small, but only 1 keeper so far. Did you chase him?
Yeah, he went pretty far. Thanks.
All right, number 2.
We got on this spot, and immediately in just a little area, I've seen probably 4 or 5 lobsters. I found one in a coral head, and I tried to tickle him out, and then he brought me to a couple others, so it looks like a good area.
Now this time, Victor has the tickle stick to coax out a lobster. I dive down to net it, and it decides to shoot back a good 20 feet from its original rock, and then I was able to net it. If you guys don't know, I actually hand make these clear lobster nets and tickle sticks. You can check them out at floridalobsternets.com.
Good job, Brookie.
Good job. Baby. That was so cool. I've never seen a school of yellowjacks like that. And they're not even afraid of me. There's a lobster right where that pufferfish just went.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wild goose cheese.
Finally, you can tell when you get one in your hand, that's gonna be big enough. This one feels like it's gonna be good. Yep. Number 3 keeper.
Oh, yeah, way too small.
small ones today, huh? So I see one, I can't tell if he looks too small yet, so I'm gonna try and tickle him out and net him. Holy Hannah. I did one little tap on him and he shot back like under the rock and just disappeared. He's got a good home. There's no way I can get him out of there. This is a molt of a different kind of lobster that we have out here called a Spanish lobster. Obviously a baby, but it's a Spanish lobster. They don't actually have a size limit. They're a lot harder to catch. I don't see him. I looked around for him, but that's his molt. I'm literally freezing. I covered a lot of ground there and I didn't see anything besides that one that got away from me, so I think I'm going to call it a day. Everyone else already gave up and they're probably waiting for me to just say, all right, Brooke, let's go home. So I'm gonna hop in the boat and head home so we can have a nice Easter dinner. What are you doing, Mom?
Good. How are you?
Alright guys, we just got home. We're washing up the boat and all the dive gear in the backyard, and I just came in to my mom making an absolute feast for us for Easter. We got a sweet potato, what do we call this? A sweet potato casserole?
Yeah.
Sweet potato casserole.
Cauliflower.
Cauliflower.
Au gratin.
Cauliflower au gratin. Some corn. Some gravy. Mashing up some potatoes. And the main, most best part of all. Oh yeah, look at that. Incredible rib roast. We didn't have the most luck lobstering today, Mom, but you are making a wonderful feast in here. So thank you so much.
Welcome, bro.
So the reason it's so hard for me to keep my figure is not just Brooke and Victor cook amazing dinners for me, but Deb can cook amazing dinners too. She skipped today from boating with the family, which she loves to do, to cook her family a wonderful Easter dinner, which she also loves to do. Today started out, we left the dock, made it to the inlet, and we ran out of power steering fluid. I just had my 2 batteries replaced in the boat because our Suzuki was throwing some bad codes and our batteries were weak, but they were 6 years old, so we got good life out of them. I called a friend, he came over and put us in two batteries and did a fine job of it. He bumped a little fitting and we didn't know it, but Brooke noticed it right away. We're only a quarter of a mile from the house, and she's like, the steering feels sticky. And I'm like, what is sticky? And by the time she got through under the bridge, 15 minutes later, she's like, oh boy, I don't have good control. So we pulled over through the anchor. We called TowBoat US, and you know, they come right out of Lighthouse Point in Hattis in like 5 minutes. Took us to our dock, which was phenomenal. And my neighbors come out. What do you need? What do you need? You need wrenches? You want me to run to the store and get you power steering fluid? Everybody was trying to help. We actually had some power steering fluid in the garage. So Victor went in there and he tightened that nut, and we filled her back up, started her, and everything was working perfect. So we got to go out today, and it was a beautiful day out there. We only caught 3 lobsters, but so what? You know, you've seen us mini season, opening day lobster season, catch our share and then some. So some days are a little tough. So we caught 3, but we still, the family was on the boat, enjoying the sun and the day. I had a fantastic day, an absolute fantastic day from start to finish. I forgot to mention, my whole family started the morning at 6 o'clock at a sunrise Easter, sunrise vigil mass. So I was, happy as a clam to have everybody in a line, my whole family, for that. And now you can see we're getting ready to chow down on Deb's fantastic Easter dinner. So I just want to say I'm a lucky man. I really am.
We're so lucky to have you, Mom. Thanks. Wow, beautiful.
Look.
So, what do you think about coming home to this after diving?
Best mom in the world.
Okay.
Dear God, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the blessings you've given me to be able to provide all that you see for this wonderful family. Thank you for giving me this wonderful family, and thank you for an amazing, wonderful wife who thought nothing of not going boating today so that she could provide her family with a beautiful cooked Easter dinner. Thank you, God, for everything I have. Amen.
Amen. Okay. So if anyone wants to stand around and grab their food.
Alright guys, we just had a delicious Easter dinner. It is time to clean up our 3 lobsters that we caught today. And before I do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the nets and tickle sticks that we used to catch them with today. If you guys didn't know, I hand make both of these. I sell them on my website, FloridaLobsterNets.com. And every single one of my lobster videos, you'll see us using these. And we've been using them for about 12 years now. I recently added the tickle stick to the combination, but these work amazing. You'll see us use them in every video if you don't believe me. But FloridaLobsterNets.com. I appreciate everyone who has bought one. It's just like my little side business that I do completely by myself. Everyone always asks me, who makes your nets for you? And I make every single part of it. So yeah, thank you to everyone who's purchased from me. I also sell lobster gauges, and I'm going to show you guys how to measure a lobster right now. As well as I have t-shirts and dive gear bags and mask strap covers as well. Today may be the last day of lobster season, but you guys can always be prepared for next season. So when I was saying that we were catching small lobsters today, you legally need to have a lobster gauge on you when you are harvesting or catching lobsters. So the distance between this is 3 inches. A lobster has to be greater than 3 inches. So what you do is you put the gauge between, these are called the horns of the lobster, on the hard part. You don't want to accidentally, here, these are their eyes here. You don't want to accidentally grab the meat of the eye because that's going to give you a false measurement. So you have to get above the eyes, on the horn, on the shell of the lobster. And then the back of the gauge As long as it's touching the head of the lobster like this, that means it's greater than 3 inches. So today when I said I caught one that was exactly 3 inches and it was a little bit squishy, that means this. If that is touching the back of the head like that, that would mean it's a small lobster because it's exactly 3 inches and they need to be greater than 3 inches. And then obviously if it's like this, that's a very exaggerate small lobster if it's something like that. But as you can tell, legal lobster. And the funny thing is when you look at all of these, I actually thought this was the largest of the lobsters, but I just threw the gauge on all of them just to see. And this one has the smallest head of all of them. This one's tail is the largest of all 3 of these. And this is actually a female lobster. And females usually have larger tails. The female have the second set of what are called swimmerettes, and that's where they would hold their eggs if they had eggs. So if a female had eggs, it would be very, very obvious. It would be a pile of orange clumped eggs right here. And then they would hold them with these little things right here. So as you see on the male, it doesn't have that second set to hold the eggs in. You can harvest female lobsters as long as they don't have eggs on them. And again, it would be very, very obvious the second you catch it, that bright orange color of all the eggs, and you have to let it go immediately. One more thing that's also interesting about a female lobster is you see this? Their back leg is also different from the male, from the male and the female lobster. This is the female. I think they also use this to help them with their eggs as well. I'm not 100% positive on that, but do you see the difference? All the other legs are similar on the female to the male, but the females always have this little different back leg. Not exactly sure what it's for. So now to clean a lobster, what you're going to do is get yourself a nice pair of gloves because lobsters are covered in spines. Even their antennas are covered in spines. They are not a
Cuddly animal.
yeah, they're not a cuddly animal. They're very sharp, and you never...
I mean, look at this. Look at how sharp that is.
Yeah.
Their horns.
So it just makes it much more comfortable to wear gloves when you clean them. So what you're going to do is I always put one hand on the head and one hand on the tail. And I like to do it over the water because lobsters do have blood that'll come out, and the blood is so sticky it turns to like glue. So do that over the water. And then what you're going to do is you're going to break off the antenna about like midway. And then you're going to use the thicker side to get the digestive tract out of the lobster tail. So those backwards facing spines on the antenna will grab the digestive tract and take it right out. And just get rid of that. So we're going to put these 3 lobster tails in a bag, and just like we do with fish, we never rinse our lobster tails off with fresh water. We don't rinse any of our seafood off, not shrimp, anything. We also like to freeze our lobster if we're not going to eat it that day or like the next day. We always freeze the lobster. We find it holds really, really well. A lot of people think that fresh lobster is the best. I agree, fresh lobster, you can't beat it. But lobster freezes really, really well. Like my dad was saying in the house, you know, sometimes you guys see us catch our limit of lobsters at the beginning of the season, and then other times you have days like today where we, you know, went for a few hours and we only brought home 3 lobsters. And that's how it is sometimes. Sometimes you go out there, you can find your limit of 6 per person lobsters, and sometimes you have a hard time and only catch 3. So a lot of people always think that we're constantly out there, you know, slaying the population of lobsters, but some days you go out there and you can't even find any of them. So I will see you guys back in the kitchen to cook these up, so I will see you there. Alright guys, welcome back to the kitchen. We're back in my parents' kitchen. Victor is fishing today, so I came here to cook my family some lunch today, and my mom is assisting me behind the camera today. So what I have here is half cornstarch, half flour, and what I'm going to do is add in some seafood seasoning Creole blend. And I already took all of my lobsters out of their shells, and that's what I have in this container here. So this is 6 lobsters. Like my dad had mentioned, our neighbor came over the second we got home with our power steering problems, and he came right over to try to help us out. And I said to myself, man, if we catch some lobsters, I'm gonna give him some. And I told my dad that, and my dad thought the same thing, that we should give him a few lobsters. But we only caught those 3, so we actually gave him all 3 of our fresh caught lobsters. And we actually had some lobsters in the freezer. We're down to only a few lobsters left in the freezer, so we're gonna have to wait a few months to restock. So I'm not trying to do a really thick coating on these, just a nice little coating. All right, so all of our lobster is battered. Look at that, that is 6 lobsters. There were 6 big boys. And in this pan, I have some avocado oil that's nice and hot. And we're going for like a shallow pan fry, so not like a deep fry? Not like a deep fry. All right, let's get these in. We're gonna have to do a couple batches. This pan is a little lopsided. And lobster does not take a long time to cook, so these babies are gonna need to be moved around here soon. So, as soon as these get out of the hot oil, we're gonna hit them with some salt. So I got some beautiful big hoagie buns with some shredded lettuce in there, as well as tomatoes. And we're gonna go in with our lobster. Load those babies up. Here, I mixed up some bang bang sauce, which is mayonnaise, sriracha, and sweet Thai chili. And this on top of our sandwich. So they're kind of like bang bang lobster sandwiches. And then as the last step, sprinkle on some scallion. And these are ready to go.
Delicious.
Let's call the boys. Boys! You can grab one of those next to Mom.
Oh, they're ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, look at that. Holy smokes. Very good. Well, Brooke, those were absolute delicious lobster sandwiches. I had 1.5 and absolutely the best lobster sandwich I ever had.
Wow, thank you. Fish?
Yeah, I'll second that. Definitely the best lobster sandwich I ever had. I always say lobster isn't the easiest thing to cook, but Brooke makes it the best I've ever had it.
Thank you.
I really loved the sandwich. I'm so glad you came over and made us lunch. It was a great surprise. Everything about it was so good. From the bread, the way you cooked the lobster, the sauce was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen?
I don't think you could get a better or fresher lobster sandwich than that off the street. The lobster was super tender, and that's my favorite part. It just is so buttery and melts in your mouth. That was one heck of the sandwich, bro. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you're interested in checking out any of the products that I make, like the lobster nets, the tickle sticks, or the gauges, t-shirts, anything like that, FloridaLobsterNets.com, or I will have a link in the video description. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.